Okay, friends, we're getting started in a child's pose. So sit on your feet, walk your hands out, and take your time settling in. Okay, ideally your forehead comes down low, and it may come to rest on your arms or the floor. And give yourself time. This might take minutes. It might be a process. Okay, so maybe rocking your hips side to side might help loosen up your hips and your low back. And while you're here, you'll start to deepen your breath. Make it really slow. Make it really long. And allow it to be loud in your ears, like a roar. Hopefully, after a few breaths, you feel your body softening a little bit, hips getting lower. See if you could notice the creases of your hips, where your legs plug into your hip socket. Notice all that tissue softening. So much meat around that joint, so just let it all be soft. Okay, notice the other big joints, your shoulders. Notice all of the muscle, all the tissue around your shoulder joints. Could you allow all that to get softer and softer here as you breathe? And start to find the very top of your inhales and exhales, maybe even hovering for a second or two, where you can take in no more air at the very top of your inhale. And then exhale completely. And after cleaning out your lungs as much as you can, hover for a second or two at the very bottom of your exhale. And play around with this big, slow breath, finding that complete breath, playing with the boundaries. And then let's start to move around a little bit from here, but keep your big breath. Okay, keep your soft shoulders, soft hips. And walk your hands out away from you a little bit here. Start to peel open your armpits a little bit toward the floor. And as you walk your hands out, remember to move your shoulder blades away from your ears so that your neck doesn't become a turtleneck. Okay, you want it to be a giraffe neck. So keep your giraffe. And then walk your hands out to the right. We're going to walk them out just as far as you like until you have a really nice left side stretch. Drop your head here and start to move your hips over to the left so you really dig into that side stretch. Big breath here. You're really opening up the low back, the armpit, the sides of your rib cage. Maybe one more big breath here in this yummy side stretch. Moving those hips to the left. And then let's bring it through center and over to the left. So hands walk as far as you like them. Okay, get that head down. Okay, feel that big right side stretch. Should feel good. And start to move the hips away over to the right. Big breath. As we really open up the right side and breathe into it, notice what's happening in the left side. It's getting compressed. It's getting massaged. Okay. Squishing out all the lymph on the left side of your body, bringing fresh circulation to those tissues. One more breath here. And bring it back to center. Okay, from here, pull yourself up to hands and knees, up out of that child's pose. Whew. Okay, we were in the child's pose for a long time. Okay, and we'll extend the right knee out behind and just circle it out. Okay, opening up that hip after being compressed for so long. Big circles here. You can lift the right hip, stack it over the left, move the right knee forward. And let's rewind the circles. Take them back the other way. Okay, and then send that right knee forward here. Drop it the right foot close to your right hand. Okay, and then let's move the left knee back. And we'll take some kind of silly circles here, moving your hips in a circle all the way around to the right, to the left, to the front, to the back. So opening up that left hip here as well, opening up the back of the right leg. And let's rewind that circle too. Okay, and then settle into your lunge here with that right foot forward. And maybe you pull the left knee back a little bit if you are okay with the hips sinking kind of low. And then let's use the right knee. You can put your right hand on your right knee and just twist to look over to the right, okay? And then the right hand can creep a little bit more. If you want a little more from this, you can move that right hand to the inside of the right knee and start to gently press it away from you, okay? And it doesn't have to be very far, but it might feel nice, okay? So just play. And then as you push that right knee gently away, you're looking at the ceiling up over that right shoulder. Breathe here. So remember to keep your legs active. You're actively pushing the floor away from you. And you're actively pulling the knees in toward each other. So the legs and their hips are active. Let's take one more big breath here in this twisty lunge. And then let's let it go. Bring the right hand back to the floor, right knee back to hands and knees. Tuck your toes here, lift your knees and your hips, and walk your hands back to your feet, okay? Getting up off your hands and your knees for a little bit with a soft bend in your knees. Just hang. Shake your head. Shift your weight from foot to foot as you rock and sway. Okay, notice a whole lot of softness in your low back as that long, beautiful spine hangs very heavily. So if you can create even more length and heaviness in your spine by bending your knees more, then go ahead and do that. Let the spinal traction be your priority here. All right, feeling the backs of the legs gently open up. From here, let's get the hands back to the floor. Walk them forward and find yourself back on hands and knees. And let's get the left knee up and circle out the left hip. Big, silly circles. Open it up. Okay, let's rewind it. Take the left knee back in the opposite direction. All right, and then swing that left knee forward. Plant the left foot outside your left hand. And move the right knee back, maybe out to the right a little bit, so you have kind of a broad stance here. And let's circle the hips out over that right knee. Okay, we want to make sure we get everything moved around. And let's rewind that hip circle. Okay, and then settle back into your lunge. Maybe if everything feels okay, move that right knee back even a couple inches, only if it's okay to allow your hips to drop that low. So look over at your left knee now and use your left hand on the inside of that left knee to just gently press the knee away as you look over to the left. And you can stay right here. This might be quite enough, okay? Remember to keep your legs quite active, pushing the floor down and pulling the knees in toward each other. So you may decide to take it a little further by, you can flex that left foot and allow the knee to just drop out to the left there. You can press on it a little bit more and look all the way up at the ceiling here, over that left shoulder. So breathe. Push the floor with your legs and with your right hand. Okay, this gentle twist is really massaging your spine all the way up to the base of your skull. Opening up your legs and the hips. One more breath here. Let's bring it back down. Let's bring the left hand back underneath the left shoulder. Bring it back to hands and knees. And then again, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and walk your hands back to your feet. Okay, right here, pick up your right foot and step it in front of your left foot. Okay, you might need to bend your knees to do this, and that's fine. You can really bend them and make it really easy on yourself. You can even come up on your fingertips, okay? So from here, spin on your right heel and point the right toes out to the right. So the right foot's in front, it's pointed out to the right, and you're gonna walk your fingers out to the right as well in the direction those right toes are pointing. And pause here. If you need to bend your knees to be here, you're gonna bend your knees to be here, okay? But no matter what you're doing with your knees, please drop your head. Let your spine hang softly, please. No tension in the neck. And extend your knees only as much as feels good, okay? As a matter of fact, even if you can fully extend your knees, you're gonna keep a soft bend in them just to be safe. You might even decide this feels really good, okay, in your legs and your low back, and you're gonna walk your fingers to point all the way back behind you. You can kind of line them up next to your left foot and see if you can compress your hands and your feet into a very small surface area. Hanging that head, long neck. pushing the floor gently with your legs and gently with your hands. One more big breath here. And we're bringing it through center. Go ahead and walk your hands back in front of you, right foot back on the floor. And then walk your hands forward here. From hands and knees, you're gonna drop your heart between your thumbs, okay? And come all the way down to your belly. You can just rest your forehead on the floor here for a moment with your hands under your shoulders and your elbows pulling back and toward each other as if they're magnetically drawn toward each other. Then point your tailbone at the floor. So really engage your glutes here. You're going to feel as your tailbone points down, your belly button will try to lift a little bit and keep that. Then inhale and pull back on your hands. As you pull back, think of lifting that heart up and open to the front of the mat. And then exhale to let it go. Let's do that again. Inhale, pull back on your hands. Lift your heart, look forward. And exhale to let it go. Let's take it 3 more times. Inhale, Cobra, pull that heart up and open. And exhale, let it go. You can make it a little bigger if you like. Inhale, lifting more of your rib cage. Let's do one more. Tailbone down. Inhale, heart up. And exhale, let it go. Tuck your toes here. Press it up and back to hands and knees. And then again, lift your hips. Walk your hands back to your feet. Okay, back in a forward fold. So let's do the other side of that funky forward fold twist. This time, your left foot will step in front of your right. Bend those knees if you need to. And you'll spin on the left heel to point the left toes to the left. Fingers will point out to the left as well. You can hang out here. And I want you to really hang out. I want you to let your spine hang down. Deep breaths here. Maybe close your eyes. Just enjoy pushing the floor down just enough. And then if everything's feeling great, you're going to continue to walk your hands so that all your fingers point at the back of your mat. But keep your head down low. Keep pushing the floor with your legs. Breathe into the backs of your legs, the backs of your ribs. All right, we're bringing it back in. So bring your fingers back out in front of you. Bring that left foot back underneath your left hip. And then walk your hands forward, okay? From hands and knees. Again, drop your heart down between your thumbs and come all the way down to your belly. Rest your head on the floor again. Just rest that forehead. And then reach your hands back behind you. Okay, again, get the belly button lifting, get the tailbone pointed down. So you're really tuning in to protecting that low back when you do that. You're keeping your low back safe so that we can really use some back strength, helping release the front of the body, okay? All that being said, tailbone down, belly button lifted. As you inhale, lift your whole body up off the floor. Lift your arms, lift your legs, lift your nose. And then exhale, bring it down. Just like a cobra, but we're not pulling with the hands. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Okay, nice and slow. Let's do it a few more times. See if you could spin your palms to face out so your thumbs point up and lift a little higher. Okay, maybe you keep it low. Maybe for these next two, you try to lift even longer and higher. Using that strong back body. Last one. Big breath in, bring it up. And big exhale, bring it down. From here, yogis, palms underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Press it up to hands and knees. And one more time, lift your knees, lift your hips, and walk your hands back to your feet. This time, take your feet a little bit wide, okay? Maybe as wide as your mat is. Okay, turn your toes turn your toes in and your heels out. So heels are out, toes are in, and then bend your knees here. Grab one elbow with the opposite hand, okay? Grab opposite elbows and opposite hands, and just start to swing as you hang here. Take a few breaths, getting that low back even more released, allowing the backs of the legs to open up more. See if you could keep your neck long. Okay, sometimes the shoulders want to smoosh up by your ears. See how it feels to keep the neck long. And then from here, we're going to settle into a squat. So bring your fingertips back to the floor. Turn your toes out now and your heels in. And slowly drop your hips toward the floor. Okay, it might happen really slowly and there's no reason to rush it. So you might keep your fingers on the floor and your hips up for quite a while, okay? Or you might be able to drop your hips and pick up your fingers, but don't feel like you have to rush it. And I'm just gonna turn slightly to face you so you can see that the feet are a bit wider than the hips and you might have a little turnout in your toes, okay? And then if you can pick your fingers up, see if you can put your palms together and take your elbows in between your knees and kind of push them apart. And let's breathe right here in Malasana squat. So once you're here, if everything's feeling pretty good, I want you to really activate your legs. So you're pushing the floor as if you're trying to lift your hips just 1 inch. And when you activate the legs, that's going to give you the release that you need, okay, in your hips and low back, and your legs too. So breathe here with me. And I'm going to give you some funky options to play with. So you can stay just like this, and you can back it up by lifting your hips and putting your head down, okay? Or you can kind of deepen the hip opening and low back opening by reaching your left arm out to the left. You can take that left shoulder in front of the left hip. Sorry, that's a knee. Left shoulder in front of the left knee. Grab the floor with the left hand and reach up with your right. So feel free to play around with this spread open chest kind of feeling. Remember to breathe. Remember to push the floor. You can also play with bending the left elbow and reaching behind you, and then taking the right elbow behind. Okay, right hand looking for left. Maybe they find each other today and you squeeze that knee into your rib cage, or maybe they don't find each other and you're just reaching, and either way is fine. One more big breath here in your squat. And then we're gonna let that go, okay? If you did that left side, go ahead and unbind. Take your hands down in front and lift your hips for a moment. Turn the toes in, heels out, and just hang and swing. Okay, taking a little break. We're gonna go back in. So maybe while you hang here and just feel the effects of that squat, you take your hands behind you, behind your back. You can interlace your fingers and move them away from your heart. Big shoulder opener. Okay, it's time to do the other side. So release your hands, fingers back on the floor. Let's pop the toes out and the heels in and start to drop down into that squat again. So once you're there, start to push that floor away. Breathe. Remember, you can stay right here or back it up. Okay, or you can dive in. You can take the right shoulder in front of the right knee, so kind of leaning out to the right. Right hand grabs the floor on the right, and the left arm reaches up. So hold and breathe. Remember to push the floor away from you with your legs. Don't let the legs fall asleep. Okay, maybe you try for the bind. That right arm can come behind that right leg. Left arm behind, looking for each other, okay? Maybe they find each other, maybe they don't. That's all right. Squeeze that knee and look up. Breathe. Maybe take one more big breath here in your Malasana squat, releasing tension in your hips and legs and back. And then let's come out of that. Slowly drop your hands in front and press your hips up to the sky again. Turn those toes inward. Whew. Heels out. Bend your knees and just hang. Shake your head. Shake it off. Maybe you have one hand on the back of each calf now, and you're just gently hugging your legs towards you. From here, let's get the hands back on the ground and then walk them out away from your knees. Go ahead and drop to your knees here. And we'll take a little back bend from here. Okay, we did a lot of folding, and now it's good to counter that with some back extension. Okay, heart opening. So hips are going to be over knees for this. Okay, make sure to keep them right there. And then walk your hands out away from your knees. And then you can drop your forehead to the floor. And this is kind of how we enter this posture. So we always have the option to stay here or keep going. And you're just feeling it out in the moment. But when you first get into your open heart pose, okay, that's where we are, Anahatasana, you want to start to open your armpits to the floor. So you might even use your elbows out to the side a little bit. Get the armpits nice and open and moving downward, okay? You need a little bit of lift in your belly button here. So think about pointing your tailbone at your feet behind you. And that's going to make sure that your low back doesn't just absorb all of this extension. We want it to go into your upper back. So tailbone points at your toes. Maybe you start to look forward at your hands and put your chin on the floor. Now this might happen today and it might not. So just decide what's comfortable. Okay, in general, you want your neck to be really long. So if you find your neck getting crunchy and turtle-like, then you need to back it up. Maybe you can press your fingertips down and lift your palms and your elbows. Okay, looking at your hands. Remember your long neck. And sometimes it feels good to bend your elbows and put your fingers together and point them up. And then you can really get your throat down to the floor. Wherever you are, breathe. It should always feel good, never bad. Maybe one more really big, long, slow breath here in your open heart pose. And start to walk yourself back up and out of this. Back up on your hands and then drop your hips out to one side here. Flip it all the way over to your back, okay? Roll yourself all the way down. Go ahead and lay down. Stick your legs up in the air here and circle out your ankles. Okay, ankle circles in one direction and then ankle circles in the other. And let's do some figure eights in one direction. Okay, make those calves and shins get a little warm, and reverse your figure eights. All right, from here, drop your feet to the floor. Boom, next to your hips. Okay, a few windshield wipers here, just shaking your hips off, shaking out the low back. Okay, a lot of squat today, a lot of folding. We might have some big release feelings in the hips and the legs, low back. So just pay attention to that. Okay, next time your knees point up, just pause them there. Extend that left leg out on the floor. Just let it go. And bring the right knee up and in. Grab it with your left hand. And we'll take a twist from here. So use your left hand to move the right knee all the way over your body to the left. And then you look out to the right, maybe with a nice cactus arm. And breathe. Big inhales. Big exhales. Big chest. Every time you inhale, think of doming it off the floor. And with your exhales, your belly is strong as it wraps in towards your spine. One more breath here in your twist, okay? Recalibrating your whole spine. And then bring that right leg back in. Go ahead and extend it and rest it on the floor. Let's do the other side. Left knee in. Right hand takes the left knee all the way over to the right. Okay, look to the left, make a cactus arm, and breathe. Big chest inhales, lift that big heart. Strong belly exhales. Take some more time here. How about one more big breath here? Now bring that left leg back into center and extend it and rest. Okay, bring your hands down by your side. Shoulder blades under your heart so you feel kind of big in your chest. And let go, friends. Let your body and your breath settle into effortlessness. No longer activating or harnessing any breath or body action at all. Just being. The breath and the body sensations you experience now are just easy and free and natural. Notice all the details about being in this moment that you can. The precise temperature of your breath as it enters your nose and as it leaves your nose. Let your jaw relax and your eyebrows and your eyeballs. And my friends, please keep resting just like this for as long as you can. The longer the better. Maybe take a nap if you can. But this is where I'll leave you for our practice today. Thanks so much for practicing with me.